I have here two examples, and what we want to be able to do is we really want to be able to use the isosceles triangle theorem. So I just wrote it here, um, and let's understand how we're going to use this. So basically, it says that if two sides of a triangle are congruent, then the corresponding angles are congruent. Now, how does that apply for solving for x? So our task in this is to solve for x. Well, what does the theorem say? It says that two sides of a triangle are congruent. So if this side here, right, they're giving us is congruent to this side over here. And I'm going to pick a different color. Let's say, so this side right here is congruent to this side right here. So now I know that the corresponding angles must be congruent. So let's forget about everything else. Let's forget about all the numbers. Let's see what's congruent. This is angle 2. Let's call this angle 1, and then this 98 degrees angle 3. So this side, again, this side here, is congruent to this side here. Then their corresponding angles are congruent. Okay? So what's the angle that corresponds with this side? Well, that's angle 1. Right? We got to be able to see that. We got to be able to see that the angle that corresponds to this side is angle 1. And what's the angle that corresponds to this side? We got to be able to see that as angle 2. So the theorem states that angle 1 is congruent to angle 2 because their corresponding sides are congruent. If the sides are congruent, then the corresponding angles are congruent. So angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. This just means measure of angle 1 is equal to measure of angle 2. Now I know I have some expression for the measure of angle 2. So I know that that's the same expression for measure of angle 1. So 50 plus x, this is 50 plus x. That's the measure of 2. But if that's equal to 1, then this is also just 50 plus x. And now I can use another theorem to solve for x. I know that measure of 1 plus measure of 2 plus 98 has to give me 180. So measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle 2 plus that last angle, 98 degrees, has to equal 180. That's by triangle sum theorem. Now I know that 1 and 2 are the same. They both equal this here, 50 plus x. So instead of writing 1, I'm going to write 50 plus x. And then instead of writing 2, I'm going to write 50 plus x. And then plus 98 degrees has got to give me 180. And now I'm going to get 100 plus 2x, 198, plus 2x plus 198 is equal to 180. I minus 98 on both sides. I'm going to get negative 18. It's equal to 2x. Divide by 2 on both sides. X equals negative 9. And now I've solved for x. And then that's it. Now you got x. Okay, you're done with this one. Similar thing here, but you gotta always look at the corresponding side thing, right? That's the trick. Okay, so let's see what we have here. I have that this side is congruent to this side. Then their corresponding angles are congruent. So what corresponds to this side? Well, that's angle 2. And what corresponds to this side? Well, that's 76. So then that means that angle 2 and this angle right here are congruent, which means that their measures are equal. So the measure of angle 2 equals 76 degrees. And then you can just use this equation here. So I had just figured out that measure of angle 2, I'll write it here, measure of angle 2 is equal to 76 degrees. And then instead of writing measure of angle 2, I replace that for this expression to get x. X plus 87 is equal to 76 degrees. I minus 87 on both sides. 0 here, x equals -11. And now you're done. Okay, now you want to be able to use this theorem in the reverse way, right? If we're given that two angles are congruent. So remember, if and only if the other direction is also true. If two angles are if two angles of a triangle, so I should write the converse, right? It's really if two angles of a triangle are congruent. So it's a little, a little bit more detail in writing out the converse. Are congruent, then the corresponding sides are congruent. Okay, and now let's use this theorem in these cases. So what's this? This is saying this angle right here is congruent to this angle. Then their corresponding sides must be congruent. The side that corresponds to this angle is this x plus 16. The side that corresponds to this angle is the side that corresponds to this angle is the 10. These sides must be congruent, therefore their measures must be equal. 10 equals x plus 16. I solve for x. I get -6 equals x. And again, similarly, in something like this angle, this angle is congruent to this angle, then their corresponding sides must be congruent. That means that this side is congruent to the x plus 18. So you get 10 is equal to x plus 18. And you solve for x again, you just minus 18 on both sides, you get -8 is equal to x. And this is doing it in the other way if you're given two angles congruent.